There is a particular kind of quiet that comes after you have been through enough. Not peace, exactly. More like exhaustion wearing the mask of peace. You stop reaching. You stop hoping with that bright, unguarded hope you used to carry. You get careful. You get still. And somewhere inside that stillness, a question starts to form. Not loud, not dramatic, just steady. How do I know? How do I know if this person, this one in front of me now, is the right one? How do I know if what I am feeling is love or just the absence of pain? How do I know if this calm I feel is safety or just the silence after a storm? How do I know when everything I was taught about love turned out to be wrong? This is not a question about them. Not really. It is a question about you, about whether you can trust what your body says when your body has been shaped by years of learning the wrong things. And that is what we are going to talk about today. Not how to make someone love you, not how to be chosen, not the signs, the compatibility tests, the astrology, the algorithms. We are going to talk about something quieter and harder and more honest than all of that. We are going to talk about how you learn to recognize love, real love, when no one taught you what it was supposed to feel like. The problem is not that you are bad at choosing. The problem is that you were a student of a particular school. And that school taught you things. It taught you that love arrives in surges. That love feels urgent. That love is the relief after silence, the warmth after cold, the return after absence. And because that is what you learned first, that is what your nervous system calls familiar. And familiar, for the body, often gets confused with right. John Bowlby, the psychologist, whose work gave us much of what we now call attachment theory, spent years studying something that sounds simple but was revolutionary. The idea that human beings do not only want love, they need proximity to feel safe. The attachment system, he proposed, is not just emotional, it is biological. It was built across thousands of years of evolution to keep us close to people we can depend on. And here is where it becomes personal. When you were small, before you had language for it, before you could think your way through it, you learned what closeness felt like from the people who were closest to you. If that closeness was consistent, warm, responsive, your nervous system learned that connection is safe, that it arrives and stays, that you can relax inside it. But if that closeness was unpredictable, sometimes close, sometimes far, sometimes warm, sometimes cold, your nervous system learned something different. It learned to watch, to wait, to read the room constantly, looking for signals. And it learned to register relief so intensely, the relief of return. That relief itself started to feel like love. That is not a weakness. That is the body being very good at surviving its early environment. But now you are here, older, choosing your own relationships. And the body is still running the old code. Carl Rogers, the psychologist who gave us the concept of conditions of worth, noticed something that sounds devastating once you see it clearly. Many people do not grow up believing they are lovable as they are. They grow up believing they are lovable under certain conditions. When they are easy, when they are calm, when they are not too much, when they do not need too often or ask too loudly. They learn not because anyone said it plainly, but because the world taught them implicitly, through withdrawn affection, through tension when they cried, through approval that came and went, that some versions of themselves were acceptable and others were not. And so they shrink, they edit, they become manageable. And when love arrives, it arrives to the edited version, which means that years later, sitting across from someone who is actually warm, actually consistent, actually interested in the unedited version, they feel something strange. Not recognition, not relief, just confusion. Because this does not match the template. This person does not make them panic. And they have spent so long treating panic as chemistry that calm starts to feel like the absence of something. This is the heart of what we need to understand. The question is not only, is this person right for me? The question is, can I recognize what right feels like, given what my body has been trained to call love? Here's the mechanism. Let us look at it directly. When you have spent years in emotional environments where closeness was inconsistent, where love arrived with conditions, where connection required performance, Your nervous system becomes exquisitely sensitive to threat cues. The silence before a message arrives, the tone in someone's voice, the slight withdrawal, the almost there, not quite quality of someone who keeps you reaching but never fully close. And in those moments of threat, of distance, of uncertainty, your nervous system activates. Cortisol rises. Attention narrows. The mind fills with the other person, where they are, what they are doing, what their last message meant, whether they are pulling away, and then they return. They reply. They come back, and so the activation drops, the cortisol falls, the body breathes again. That moment, that specific moment of return after absence, floods the system with something that feels unmistakably like love, like rightness, like depth. But here is what the body cannot easily distinguish. That feeling is not love. That feeling is relief from threat, and we have been calling it chemistry. This is not a small confusion. This is the confusion that shapes years. It is why someone can feel more drawn to the person who keeps them guessing than to the person who is simply there. It is why consistency can feel suspicious, why calm can feel empty, why someone kind and present and honest might register as somehow less than someone unpredictable and exciting and just out of reach. The body did not learn these things because it is broken. The body learned these things because, once upon a time, they made sense. But in a different relationship, in a different life, they are the wrong map. There is also something that schema therapy helps name here. The emotional templates we carry, the beliefs that were built early and that replay without our permission. One of the most common is the abandonment schema, a deep cellular certainty that closeness does not last, that people leave, that love is borrowed time. And when that belief lives in the body, even a healthy relationship can feel unbearable. Not because the relationship is dangerous, but because the waiting for it to end feels like evidence. Every moment of goodness becomes evidence that the end must be coming. So the person begins to self-sabotage. They become distant. They test. They withdraw first. They confuse the relationship being imperfect with the relationship being doomed. And they lose good things not because those things were wrong, but because they could not recognize them as safe. The schema was not a truth about this relationship. It was an old belief, waking up inside a new moment. Recognizing this is not a cure, but it is the beginning of being able to ask a different question. So, let us talk about what right actually feels like. Not what the internet tells you, not the lists, not the love languages quiz, not the 5 signs he is serious, not the 3 things she would do if she were the one. Let us talk about what the body offers when the body begins to be trustworthy. The first thing many people notice, and this can be jarring if you have not felt it before, is that right does not feel like a siege. You are not waiting to exhale. You are not decoding their messages. You are not performing. There is no surveillance of your own behavior, no constant editing, no checking whether you said too much, asked too much, needed too much. You are not rehearsing how to be acceptable. You just are, and they stay. That is not boring. That is safety. And your body may have no previous record of what safety feels like, which is why it can show up so quietly that you almost miss it. Social baseline theory, the idea, drawn from neuroscience research, that the human brain may actually function by expecting connection as its baseline, rather than treating it as a bonus, suggests something that should change how we think about love. When someone is genuinely safe for us, the nervous system does not have to work as hard. Perceived threats are lower. Cognitive and emotional effort is lower. The brain distributes some of its regulatory work to the relationship, which means that, with the right person, everything feels slightly less difficult. Not because life becomes easier, but because you are not carrying it alone. And your body recognizes that. Your body registers it as, I can rest here. Here is what right tends to look like when you begin to look without the old lens distorting it. It looks like someone whose words and actions exist in the same place. They do not say they want to see you and then disappear for 4 days. They do not tell you that you matter and then treat your needs as inconveniences. There is a coherence between what they say and what they do, and your body registers that coherence even before your mind has named it. Right looks like someone who does not require you to be small. You can say what you feel, you can need something, you can disagree, you can be uncertain, you can be in process, unfinished, not yet healed. And they do not punish you for it. They do not withdraw because your sadness is inconvenient. They do not go cold because you asked for something. They respond, imperfectly sometimes, humanly, but they respond. Right looks like someone whose presence lowers something in your chest rather than raising it. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to how your body feels in the ordinary moments, not the high moments. Anyone can feel good at the beginning, in the newness of it. Notice the Tuesday afternoon moments. Notice how you feel when you are with them and nothing is happening. Notice whether you can be quiet with them without the quiet becoming threatening. Notice whether you can make a mistake without dreading the consequence. Right looks like admiration that is grounded, not idealization. Not the fantasy of who they could be if they just changed this one thing. Not the projection of your own longing onto someone whose actual character you have not yet fully seen. Grounded admiration. You see them clearly, imperfect, and human, and you genuinely respect what you see. The way they handle difficulty. The values they move toward. What they do when things are hard. Who they are to other people. And right looks like direction. Not identical direction. Not the same job. The same dreams. The same rhythm, but shared values, a similar sense of what matters, a relationship that moves towards something rather than cycling in place. Someone who wants to build something, even if the shape of what they are building is still being discovered. But let us be honest about the failure mode. Because there is, one, and it is important, many people, once they understand that chaos is not chemistry, decide to become cold. They cut off. They decide not to care. They mistake numbness for growth. They swipe through person after person, looking for someone who does not affect them, as if the goal were to stop feeling, rather than to feel differently. They confuse detachment with healing, and so they shut down the very capacity that would allow them to recognize love when it arrives. They are not safer, they are just more defended. And behind those defenses, the old longing remains exactly where it was. Untouched. Somara's position on this is not become untouchable. It is become safe enough in yourself that you do not need someone else's uncertainty to feel alive. The goal is not to stop feeling. The goal is to be able to stay in the feeling without losing yourself inside it. To need without obsession. To love without disappearance. To be moved without being swept away. That kind of love that does not require you to abandon yourself in order to be chosen, is available to you. But you have to be willing to let it feel different from what you are used to. There is a quiet thing that happens when you start to recognize the right person. It happens slowly. It is not a thunderclap. It is not the surge you are used to. It is more like noticing. Noticing that you told them something real and nothing broke. Noticing that you were having a hard week and they sat with you in it, without trying to escape. Noticing that you feel like yourself around them. Not the edited version, not the performing version, but the version that walks around in your own head on ordinary days. Noticing that when you imagine your future, they are there not as a rescue, but as a companion. And sometimes the question is not whether they are the right person. Sometimes the question is whether you are ready to let the right person be right. Whether you can tolerate the quiet, whether you can believe the consistency without waiting for it to disappear, whether you can be loved without immediately looking for the trap. That is healing work, not the romantic kind, the slow, unglamorous, ordinary kind. Learning to trust what is real, learning to stay when staying feels unfamiliar, learning to choose what is good, even when your body says, "But this does not feel like what I know." Love does not always arrive when you are ready. It does not wait for the perfect chapter or the fully healed version of you. It can arrive in the middle of your mess, into the middle of your doubt, and still be real. What matters is whether you can recognize it. And recognition, real recognition, happens in the body, in the chest that does not brace every morning, in the sleep that does not wake you up rehearsing, in the conversations that leave you feeling more yourself, not less, in the arguments that resolve without withdrawal, in the mornings that are quiet in a way that feels like home. The body gives signals. They are not fireworks. They are steadier than that. They are the small, daily, consistent evidence of someone who shows up not because you performed well enough, but because they chose you and keep choosing you with their ordinary actions on ordinary days. You do not need to have been taught this from the beginning. You do not need a perfect foundation to recognize goodness now. You need enough honesty to look at what you are actually feeling rather than what you think you should feel. Enough patience to let the unfamiliar register as safe rather than suspicious. Enough tenderness toward yourself to believe that you are allowed to want what is good. You are not looking for perfect. You are looking for real presence, real honesty, real care that arrives in small, unremarkable, consistent ways. That is the person worth choosing. And the deepest act of healing may not be finding them. It may be allowing yourself finally to stay. Not the one who made you panic, not the one who made you perform, the one who made you feel, for the first time in a long time, like yourself. That is how you know